Good evening, and welcome to However Many Minutes This Takes. Tonight, a scandal in Persia. But what really happened? Who is to blame? And how did it all begin? We'll find out the answers to these questions and more tonight on However Many Minutes This Takes. The Persian desert, vast, dry, and isolate. But at the palace, it was another story. After his recent conquest of Greece, King Xerxes was holding a great banquet to console himself for the loss, a celebration that perhaps went too far.
Well, it started out like any other banquet, and when the men get to drinking, things get out of hand.
But you weren't present for any of this.
No, I wasn't. Not at first, anyway. I was holding my own banquet with the women in the royal house.
But that was before Xerxes, drunk with wine and high spirits, made an unthinkable request. He called for the queen to come wearing only the crown, and nothing else.
Well, I was shocked. I could not believe what the king asked me to do. Of course I refused. Could you imagine? Hundreds of men all drunk and staring?
So the officers were forced to return empty-handed, and the king, relying on the advice of his sages, banished Vashti from the palace. What caused you to act so strongly to the queen's refusal?
Well, I was very drunk, I'll admit. But it's the principle. As both her husband and her king, she should have obeyed my command.
Even when the command involved appearing naked before a bunch of drunk men?
What kind of message would it send to the people of Persia if the wife of the king himself could freely disrespect her husband?
So Xerxes set out to find himself a new queen. He was advised to send officials to all the provinces of Persia, gather all the beautiful women to the palace, in what would be Persia's grandest beauty pageant.
What exactly is your position?
Well, I take care of all the ladies when they're getting ready for the pageant. I help make sure that they're as beautiful as they can possibly be for the king. You know, that's so important. Oh, it was wonderful, wasn't it? It was so magical. Such a spectacular beauty pageant.
Among the contestants, a young girl named Hadassah, known to the Persians as Esther.
Really, it was Mordecai who made the decision for me to go.
You know, I truly believe God was guiding her. I felt she was destined to become queen. And so she is today.
It was difficult for both of us, but I was treated exceptionally well in the palace, and it ultimately worked out for the best.
Now, rumor has it you gave her special treatment. Is this true?
Oh, no, that's not true at all. I would never show favoritism like that. Well, maybe just a little, but, you know, it's hard not to show favoritism to someone that you really think is special.
In the 10th month, Tevet, Esther was brought before the king. He was so enamored with her that he placed the crown on her head almost immediately, ending the beauty contest after years of preparation.
I honestly don't know what he saw in Esther. I mean, when we were presented before the king, we could ask for whatever we wanted. I had silk, I had jewels. Esther, she didn't ask for anything. I mean, she's just ordinary. Like, I'm the real
At least
beauty.
you got to go. 12 months I was oiled, myrrh, and perfumed, and I didn't even get to go. I was scheduled for Shabbat, the month after Esther.
So why do you think the king should have chose you?
Well, I mean, I kind of look like Vashti. I don't know if anyone noticed, but...
Totally.
You think? I get that a lot.
She looks identical. I'm really shocked.
I think so, too. I mean, I thought I was the king's type. I mean, come on.
A great banquet was held in honor of Persia's new queen. The entire kingdom seemed to be celebrating, but some were not quite so pleased with Xerxes' reign. The calm that followed Esther's ascendance to the throne would not last, and a plot would unfold that would almost cost the king his life. So you two were plotting to kill the king?
Yes.
I mean, no plotting. We was just following orders.
Following orders? From whom?
Look, we didn't do anything wrong. We were just given a proposition.
But we didn't do nothing. Tell him, Teresh. We didn't do nothing.
Like I said, we were just given a proposition to dispose of the king. Big Thin and I, we were just talking it over. We hadn't even decided anything yet. And then this pesky Mordecai came along and tattled on us. Listen, we didn't do anything wrong. I mean, it's certainly nothing we should be on death row about, right?
But who made the proposition?
It was Haman.
It was Haman.
Haman made us do it.
Implications have been made that you were affiliated with the assassination attempt of the king. How do you respond?
That's absurd. Why would I want to kill the king? I don't know who told you that, but all I can think is it's most certainly just because they want to pass the blame. Of course they're going to try to blame me. It's just passing me off like a scapegoat.
Following the foiled assassination attempt, Persia seemed to settle back into everyday life. Little did they know that the biggest scandal of all was yet to come. Xerxes began to favor a new counselor in the court, Haman. In fact, Haman was so favored that all of Persia was required to bow before him when he passed. So you wouldn't bow to Haman?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Why not?
Well, the guy was a scumbag, and an Agagite, no less. He didn't deserve the honor, and I certainly wasn't going to give him the satisfaction.
Mordecai? What do you mean? What do you... This all started with that uptight Mordecai. He should have bowed as the king had commanded. If he had simply obeyed the king's edicts, as every other citizen in Persia had, I wouldn't be here in this stinky, miserable cell.
And what followed was a dastardly scheme, not only against Mordecai, but all the Jews. So, what exactly was your plan, Haman?
My Clyde doesn't have to answer that question.
I had an excellent plan. You see, that self-centered Mordecai, he would not bow! Such a simple thing!
Haman, I really must advise you, we shouldn't be getting into this one too much.
No. In my position of power, it was my responsibility to deal with this. You see, there was a whole people that stood behind this man. And I knew I shouldn't
right
waste...
We should just try and ignore him. He doesn't really know what he's talking about. Haman, we should try a more controlled approach. We can't really...
I went to the king, and I told him that these Jews, they would not obey his commands, that they were living outside of his law. Man, I was not breaking the commands. I was not disobeying any of the king's edicts.
My
it was
client
these.
is a loyal law-abiding.
So I told the king that I would gladly take care of this problem for him.
Jews throughout Persia had no idea, but a disaster was about to unfold. Haman set out an edict on behalf of the king to have them all killed, including Mordecai.
I was devastated. We all were devastated. I knew there wasn't much I could do on my own, but then I realized that God had placed Esther in the palace so she could save us.